Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first episode of Two Shores, One Story. I'm your host, Matthew Somerville, and today I'm going to be answering the question, "Dare desu ka?" or "Who am I?" Currently, I am an assistant language teacher, or ALT, in Gifu, Japan. But how did I get to this stage? That's what I'm going to be talking about today in this podcast. For the first episode anyways. So, where did I start? In grade 8, when I was in middle school, I became really interested in the Japanese culture, history, and language because I took a class, a social studies class that introduced us to Renaissance, Aztec, and Japan, specifically Edo to Meiji period. And I'm from a really small town, so I didn't have any knowledge of Japan really before taking that class. So this is kind of like it was an introduction to Japan for me. And because of that class, I was interested in the Japanese language. Now, 2 years after, at the end of grade 10, that's when I started actually learning Japanese. I was sitting on a couch at my piano teacher's house. My sister was taking her lesson and I was just waiting. And I just decided to start learning Japanese. I was able to do so by downloading apps such as hiragana and katakana apps. So for those who don't know, hiragana and katakana are two of the main syllabaries of Japanese. There's kanji, hiragana, and katakana, and romaji, but that's basically English, so we don't need to worry about that. Anyways, I got those apps, and I also got apps that were kind of like textbooks, like Human Japanese. If you are wanting to learn Japanese, I highly suggest Human Japanese and Human Japanese Intermediate. They were great textbooks for me when I started because it was like a textbook. It had chapters, but I could also tap on each word or sentence and get an audio recording. So from the start, my pronunciation was really good, I think. And as I got more interested in learning Japanese, of course, I wanted to get immersed since, again, I'm from a small town. So I found music and I found YouTubers who talked about Japan. And because of that, I also got to know about the Genki textbooks. So again, for those who don't know, the Genki textbooks are one of the most popular textbooks for beginner learners. They're known all over. I think a lot of universities use them because they're good. So I got those textbooks maybe for my birthday and for Christmas. I was really into Japanese during this time. Like, I think when I first started, instead of playing Xbox 360 the whole summer, I studied Japanese. It just was one point in my life where I'm just going to pack my Xbox away and study. It was very interesting. And that was about 2 years of my life. I studied Japanese by myself for 2 years, and then I graduated high school and went on to university. At the time, I wanted to be a teacher, so I went to a university in Alberta. That's where I'm from. And I wanted to do Bachelor's of Education in combination with a Bachelor of Arts. So went there, took the beginner Japanese classes, and yeah, I chose beginner even though I had like 2 years experience, mainly because I wanted to fix the bad habits that I might have made, and I actually did make a lot, specifically with writing, because I wrote the hiragana and katakana in the way that the textbook showed, not how an actual person writes it. So I'm glad I did that, and I made a lot of great friends during those classes, and yeah, it was good. Then I went to Japan. In my second year of university, I lived in Japan, which is so cool even now to say. I applied for an exchange program in Nagoya, Japan. I went to the Nagoya University of Foreign Studies for 11 months, and there my Japanese improved significantly because I had to speak, read, listen, write in Japanese every day. I took Japanese classes, specifically grammar, kanji, reading, speaking classes for both semesters. And I was also able to have classes that allowed me to use Japanese, like pop culture class, volunteering class, those kind of stuff. And yeah, my Japanese, I felt it really improved. Like the way I spoke improved, my ability to listen definitely improved, again, because I had to use it every day. So much so, like I wasn't really thinking of taking the Japanese language proficiency test, but the second semester I thought maybe I could try. So I took the N3, which is maybe low intermediate, I think. Upper beginner, lower intermediate. And I passed. I passed it, which was really cool. I remember getting the notification about my test results, and I had like a tear because I thought I wasn't going to do it. I thought I failed, but I did it, and that was really cool. And that was only my third year, I guess, total of learning Japanese. And then unfortunately, I had to come back home. I had to go back to Canada, which I was sad about because I just got used to living in Japan. And then I had to go. My visa was expiring or was going to expire soon. So I had to go. I had to say bye to all the wonderful friends I made and go back to my little small town just for 4 months and then go back to my university. So that's what I did. I went back to university. I took the last class, last Japanese class that was, I guess, offered, the advanced Japanese class. However, at the time, it kind of felt like review for me, especially since we used the Genki 2 textbook, and I already did that before I even went to Japan. But it was still good. And also at this time, I decided to change my major a little bit. I decided that I didn't really want to teach English, but I wanted to teach Japanese, and I wanted to teach Japanese at a post-secondary level. So instead of doing a Bachelor of Education and Bachelor of Arts combined, I just decided to do Bachelor of Arts, which saved me a lot of time. And I also decided to minor in Asian Studies because I had some, related classes that I could use for my minor. So I decided to do that. And I finished the class. And then since then, I have been self-studying Japanese. Now, during this time, or maybe a year later, I guess, because I think I came back in 2018. So a bit, more time has passed. And then I graduated university. And during this time, I was at home because of the pandemic. I was at home for a year and a half. And I always had the idea that I wanted to go back to Japan again. So I applied to the JET program. And for those who don't know, the JET program allows any person who comes from a native speaking English country or who has a native English level to go to Japan to teach English or to work in a town hall, as long as they have a bachelor's degree. So at this time, I was graduating from university, my undergrad. So I did have a bachelor's of education. I had a degree. I had a bachelor's degree. Oh my goodness. So I decided to apply. And I went through the whole process. I wrote my statement of intent. I did the interview. I did the interview in my room, in my childhood room, and had to wear the suit and everything. And also at this time, I decided to apply to grad school as well, just because my friends at the time, maybe in 2019 or 2020, applied for the JET program, but they had to wait a year, and I didn't want to do that. I wasn't too sure when I would be able to actually go to Japan, so I decided maybe I would also apply to grad school just as a backup. So I applied to 3 schools, and I got accepted to the University of Victoria to do an applied linguistics degree. So I was kind of torn because I did actually get accepted to the JET program, but I also got accepted to the school. So I wasn't too sure what to do, but I ended up going to grad school just because I was guaranteed to go at the time that I wanted. So I left home, moved to Victoria, a place I've never really been before. And I think it was a great decision for me to do that, although it was very difficult. 2 years and 4 months of a lot of effort because I had to write a thesis. But, during that time, I met a lot of amazing people that I think will be my friends for a very long time. And I definitely grew in that time as well. But yeah, after those 2 years and 4 months, I got a degree in applied linguistics. And at this time, I was thinking that I wanted to continue into a PhD program at that school. So I applied and I got in, and that was really exciting. But during the time that I was writing my thesis, which was very hectic because I had to finish that thesis before September in order to continue on to the PhD program, since I didn't have my degree yet. That summer, the summer of 2023, was awful. Too much stress. I maybe had 4 breakdowns and 3 burnouts. It was awful. And because of that, I didn't think maybe I should go to do a PhD right after I finished a master's. I think I needed a break just to really make sure that I wanted to do a PhD. And I just needed a break in general because I've been in school my whole life. I never had a gap year. So I thought maybe I could apply to the JET program as well, again. And that's what I did. So I did the whole stuff again, except instead of doing the interview in my room, I flew from Victoria to Calgary, Alberta, and did the interview. Totally messed up my teaching part, which I'll talk about at a later stage. But I got in. It was really nice. I remember finding out the news in my apartment room, and I remember jumping up for joy because I got accepted to the JET program, and I wasn't too sure because I messed up during the interview, but they seemed to like me, and that was really awesome. And so now I'm in Gifu, Japan, which was so exciting because that was my first choice. I really wanted to go to Gifu because I lived in Nagoya, and Aichi, where Nagoya is really close to Gifu. So I was so excited when I heard about that I was going to live in Gifu and that kind of stuff. And yeah, that's kind of my journey in regards to my Japanese learning language, Japanese language, Japanese culture, Japanese history. And actually this year, 2024, May of 2024, is when I decided to learn Japanese. That's when I started. So 2024 makes it 10 years. I've been learning Japanese for 10 years, which is crazy to think about. And yeah, that little decision that I made back in, I guess, 2014 was extremely impactful for me. And it's just funny because every time I think about it, I just don't know how everything led up to me now living in Japan. I never would have thought that I would have gotten a master's degree. Now I have that under my belt, all because I decided to learn Japanese. So I guess this is just a message. If you want to start something, I suggest doing it. If you have an interest, pursue it, because it might become a passion. So, yeah, that's basically about me. And I'm very excited to continue or talk. I'm very excited to share my stories and experiences on this podcast of me living in Japan and anything Japanese related. I'm not going to be talking about the podcast itself. This episode, I'm going to be saving that for the next episode to talk about what the podcast is. But yeah, this episode was just me and my journey and answering who am I, because you might want to know who the host of the show is, which is me. I'm really excited to continue this, and I hope it goes well. I'm not used to podcasts. I do have experience with radio shows, but we'll see how this goes. Anyways, I've been rambling a little bit, so I'll have to end it here. But yeah, thanks for listening to today's episode, and I'll see you later.